Well, hey guys, how you doing tonight? This is just going to be a test stream that I'm doing here. I am playing around with this. I haven't streamed in quite a while, and so I'm trying to figure things out. Don't even, know if I'll actually get into talking about anything tonight, but checking it out on my phone right now, looking to make sure everything's working, kind of seeing what the delay is, everything else, to get an idea as we start doing this, because I'm going to be regularly streaming next week. And so I've got to see here, because I don't think that I have a chat panel on here that lets me see the chat. And I can't tell if anybody's chatting in there or not. If somebody could put some comments in there for me, that would be great, because I'm trying to see what we've got going on there, so as that I can see if the chat messages are working. But let's see. I'm going to see, it doesn't look like the Twitter page shows up when I want to go over and check out Twitter. We're going to have to get that figured out somehow. That is suboptimal, so we'll have to go there, but we'll see. I don't even know if anybody's on Twitter on that. I'm going to click on that on the computer right quick, and I don't see anybody in the chat. I'm just going to say something in there. And so it does not show up here on my computer, so I'm going to have to see if there's a way to do that so I can keep track of the messages. And we got one through YouTube. And Kirk and Grace said, "Hey, Kirk and Grace, glad you're here." And Caleb Climb says, "Good evening, buddy. Hope you're here doing well." Hey, Caleb, haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing great, man. So I've got this streaming, the kind of the cool thing with what I'm doing here. And Pete Smith says, "Hey, from Australia." Well, hey, Pete, how you doing? So what I'm doing right now is I've got this actually simulcasting to both Twitter, X, and to YouTube right now, so I can put it out to both places there. And so just kind of a heads up on what's going to happen here is I am planning on, in the coming weeks, I'm going to start doing streams more like on my views on politics and everything else, because there's a lot that's going on in the world right now. I mean, everybody knows it's an election year. It's going to be a really big year. And so I want to see to it that, I can make my voice heard in this and give people some ideas and everything else. And so we're going to try it through the election. If it does well, I will keep doing this. If not, I'm going to go back to doing sailing videos. But right now, I'm getting ready to pull the boat back out of the water again. So there's not going to be a whole lot that's exciting there. I mean, I could be doing videos of working on the boat. But I really want to focus on trying to make the world a better place right now, because I see so many problems. I have so much to say about it, and it's something that I'm just kind of thinking about all day anyway, so I might as well be doing something with it. So I'd really like to get back into streaming. So can you guys hear me okay and everything? Does the audio quality come through? Does the video look good? I just got this video camera today, so I don't know how it's going to look. I was trying to leave myself kind of a square up here where I could put a second video in and whatnot. So if you guys can let me know on that. I've got to see if I can figure out why the local chat here is not working. It says, because it's supposed to have a chat that comes in for me to see. So we've got one there, which is, okay. So let's see if I type in here, let's see if this shows up in the comments. Okay, so I can see the YouTube comments through this. So now I'm going to go over and I can't. I can only do read only on the Twitter. So I'm going to go do another test on the Twitter and see. Okay, so I can see both. That's cool. I can see both the Twitter and the YouTube comments in the chat window here, so I should be able to get everything. So that's going to be really good for getting this going. So pretty excited about that. That's going to be really good. Glad that you guys can hear me. The camera is on a gimbal, yes, and also right now the reason it's shaking a little bit is we've got like 50 knot winds blowing outside right now, so the whole boat's vibrating. Like my camera is on top of the monitor right now, and the monitor is just sitting here vibrating a little bit, and it's going to be doing that for the coming days. There's nothing that I could do about it, but so tonight it was just kind of do the test stream, and then we're going to get into some pretty cool things here. Actually, the show that I'm going to be doing Monday morning and putting out, I'm pretty excited for that. Going to be interesting to see what the response is. because I'm going to be starting to talk about how we got here. I did a whole bunch of research on this. I really dug deep kind of down into the way the world is right now. And I just kept asking, like, how did this happen? How are we, like, making this hard bend towards communism? And I started researching who all the people behind it are and why we are where we are. And it's absolutely fascinating to get into it. And so when I do that on Monday, I think I'm going to have a pretty solid stream here. So we're going to see how that goes. So I'm excited to see what happens there. But it'll be interesting to see what the what the sound of this microphone comes through too, because I haven't really used this microphone a lot for streams. I was using something else before, so interested to see how this does. I think it's going to do pretty well. I do like this microphone. And yeah, just a little bit of motion. I mean, the whole screen's just kind of bouncing back and forth like a quarter of an inch. Because, as the wind whips through the rigging, it shakes the rigging on the sailboat. I mean, there's nothing I could do about that other than, take the rig down. But pretty quick here, we will be back up on the hard, and then I actually will be doing that because I've got a whole bunch of work to do to the boat. I actually kind of like everything behind me here in the galley is going to get torn out because I got to build a new freezer in here, got to pull the engine out, got to drill a new shaft log into it. So it's going to be a lot of work to the boat this summer, and trying to get it ready to go down the coast because I want to go down to Panama and Colombia and all that. So that'll be a lot of fun. I got 8 people watching. That's awesome. And then don't have anybody over on Twitter at the moment, though, which kind of sucks. I wanted to see how well that was going to work and see who could see that. But glad that we could get 8 people in here so I can see at least that the stream's simulcasting. If anybody wanted to hop over to Twitter and find my stream there, Renegade_Sailor is my my Twitter name there. Let's see. I'm looking for... Does it... I can't... Okay, yeah, here we go. The stream does seem to be running over on Twitter. And I guess there are 2 people who are watching on Twitter right now. So if anybody that's on Twitter could post a message to the chat, please, that would be absolutely fantastic to get this up and running. Just so I know that it's working. I mean, I don't care if you throw a number 1 in the chat, just as long as I know that I can see it on my test panel here to know that we've got something working. But like I was saying, though, yeah, Monday we're going to dive in. I'm going to kind of start to talk about why it is that the United States is headed for communism, where it happened, who the major players were, because it's really fascinating. And a lot of this is open information, and it's really interesting when you start to dig into it and you start to find out who the people behind the scenes were, basically where the tentacles, the American Communist Party, started reaching out. It's a absolutely fascinating thing. So I'm really looking forward to bringing that out there. And so I am going to, let's see here, post this. I'm going to copy this link and I'm going to post it to the chat here. If someone who's in the YouTube chat, if you could please click on that, hop over to the Twitter chat and just put something in the chat there for me so I know it's going to work. I'd really appreciate that so I know that it's working. And so it says we've got 4 people who are watching on Twitter now, so hopefully I can get somebody to start just dumping some comments in there so I can see what's going on. But like I was saying, it's a test. We're trying to get set up for what we're doing here Monday morning. I'm planning on 0800, although I don't know if I'm going to make it because, like I said, we've got a massive storm going on here right now. I have not jumped in on this in quite a while, doing the thing with the streaming, so I'm pretty rusty at it. Kind of have to get my whole pile of prep together. As a matter of fact, like I was trying to get Twitter to show up on here, and it just shows up as a block. So I got to get this figured out why. It's not wanting to display, and, I can turn it on and off, but just nothing works there. So I don't know what's going on, so I've got to get that figured out. But for the most part, we've got it set there, and hopefully that'll all be working. So we got 9 people watching on Twitter right now. That's pretty awesome. So it looks like it can at least get some streaming and can get some viewership on there. So that's for the first time firing this up. This is the first time I've streamed anything to Twitter, so I'm excited to see that working. I got this simulcasting software where it uploads it to the server and then it sends it out to different places. And also it's going to go out to Telegram and everything else. Hey, Caleb is in Twitter. Okay, everything working fine. Sounds like it's coming through. Picture quality is fine. Thank you so much, Caleb. That is perfect. That's what I wanted to know. I can see it on both of my readout displays here. So it seems like everything's working there. We should be good to go. That's pretty good. So what's everybody doing tonight? We just hanging out? We chilling Saturday night, not doing anything? What's going on? You're in here watching me do a test stream, so it must be a little bit bored. And maybe we'll come up with a topic tonight and just we'll do a test show. And while I'm messing around with this, I'm going to see if I can fix that Twitter to where my Twitter can actually show up on here, because it's kind of cool. I was thinking about just doing like some live tweeting tonight, but if I can't get the thing working here, that kind of precludes me from being able to do that. So, and let's see. Yeah, it brings up that's strange. Well, that's not what I told it to bring up. So it's having a hard time capturing that for some reason, and I don't know why. So I'm going to have to play with that and get that figured out. Watching some movies there. What you watching, Kirk? And Pete's watching YouTube while I play some games. What are you normally watching on YouTube, Pete? And then Caleb is being lazy, laying in bed. Oh, yeah, I feel that there. Like yesterday, that was me. Like, this whole week has just been like crazy stressful. I've been getting a whole bunch of things taken care of, helping some from my friends get their boat taken care of, and then they gave me a water maker off it, so I had to go in and get the water maker all pulled out and then do my provisioning run, and then coming back, lost the transmission of my pickup coming back with a truckload full of groceries. I mean, just, little things that make it crazy. And then yesterday I wound up sleeping for like 12 hours. It was nuts. Overboard. Goldie Hawn and Kirk Russell. I haven't seen that movie for a long damn time. That was one of my dad's favorites. That yacht in that movie, that belonged to Dennis Washington, who owned like all the railroads and everything in my hometown. And so that was kind of interesting. Kind of knowing that factoid growing up, watching that movie, that was kind of funny. So it looks like, has everybody popped over to Twitter, or let me see here, because it says everybody, all 9 are over on Twitter now, and we've only got 1 on YouTube. So I don't know if everybody's switched over to Twitter or what, or if it's just that the counts are wrong. That would be something that'd be kind of interesting to know. And I was kind of, one of the things I was really thinking it'd be kind of fun to do is just do some live tweeting in here, because sometimes it could get kind of funny watching some of the stuff that happens when you're posting out here, especially like, the way it's been the last 24 hours. I mean, people have been going nuts on here, and so it's kind of funny to be able to scroll through that and do some things there. But you might have to be a little bit careful what comes up in the feed too. You never know, so. But after that dumpster fire, the State of the Union, like, everybody's had a lot to say. And, of course, all the people on the left, they're like, oh, yeah, Biden's doing great. And I'm like, homie, if he was doing great, you wouldn't have to tell us. I mean, we would know. It's everybody's going to the store. We can see what our grocery bill is. We can see what the rent is. We can see what we're paying for gasoline. Everybody knows that he is not doing great. But, it's kind of the only thing that they have. I mean, now that they've been in power for a while, is to try and gaslight everybody into thinking that everything's okay. And it's just not. And it's pretty damn despicable. Blech. Getting a little bit mushy-mouthed here. Okay, Pete says, watching mostly DIY and sailing channels, looking to go get my own boat and live aboard at some point soon. I tell you what, Pete, as a matter of fact, I'm going to do something tonight if I can get this going here. I sailed to Alaska last year. Amazing experience. Let me see if I can get a slideshow set up right quick. I'm going to create a source here. Oops, I need to create a new scene, and we'll just say Alaska. I want to show you guys some of the photos I took in Alaska, because that was just absolutely amazing. And it's going to go dark for a minute here, but just hold on while I'm getting this set up. But you're going to love, you're going to love some of the photos I took up there. I mean, being on the water, going out sailing, doing all that, it's absolutely amazing. Like, I cannot believe the life that I have lived out here. I have just enjoyed it so damn much. I mean, my life has just been on the water. It has been really good, and I would not trade this life for anything. I mean, what I've done out here and everything I've enjoyed out here, and it's really hard right now because, like, I'm supposed to be taking the boat back out of the water here, and I really don't want to. Like, I just want to go sail and explore, and I know I've got work to do, and it needs to be done, so I mean, I'm going to do it, but you know, it's tough. You know, having to come back out and do that. And I mean, I miss being out there so much. And, you know, you go out and you can just kind of anchor by a big city and it's like watching the whole thing on a big screen. And, you know, then if you don't want to be in the big city anymore, you can take off and go out where like nobody is and you're just out laying underneath the stars at night. It's really amazing. Okay. No pictures. And of course, this wants to be a bastard. I'm just trying to find the directory. I have everything stowed in here now. Yeah. So this should be the first set of full. Okay, then we'll add one more. Add directory. Got Alaska. Add one more. And so I'm learning with this, so bear with me. You know, this isn't going to be super professional here, but I'm getting a bunch of photos up from the Alaska trip, and hopefully you guys enjoy these because I had so much fun with that. You know, as I'd be really happy to show all this off, and it was just phenomenal what we got to do up there. I cannot say enough good things about that trip. You know, it was nothing short of incredible. Okay, so let's see what happens when I throw this up here now. I think I'm going to have to... Okay, so let's see if this... Oh, why are they not wanting to... That's so strange. It's like it's not wanting to pull the photos up. Let me... No, not those photos. Okay, it's going to be difficult, so let me go in here and it won't let you just add the folders for whatever reason. So I just did an update to OBS Studio and went back through it, so I've now got to relearn how to do the whole thing. So we'll just start with the first directory in here, which was when I was getting ready to leave Washington. Yeah. These were good. See if this will load now. There we go. There's some photos. So, yeah, this is just when I was leaving Port Townsend, and I mean, what a great thing it was. YouTube on my TV and chat on my phone, says Kevin. Yeah, we're all guilty of that, aren't we? You got the TV hooked up. I tell you what, yeah, Pete, that the Alaska trip, it's definitely worth the doing. I mean, if you're in Australia, you know, up to Japan, over across to Alaska, back, you will love it. Captain Davin says, hello, I'm new here, but I'm looking at a 50-year-old Trimerland. Love to learn more from you. Well, hey, thank you very much. Welcome aboard. My photo problem's like vast, right? All right, so here we go with the photos. So when we were leaving here, this little boat that you guys could see off in the distance, just kind of tiny up on the horizon, that's my friend Damien's boat. And Damien built that boat, and he was 21 years old when he started building it. He's 23 now, and it's absolutely amazing. It's not a very big boat. It's only 28 feet. But just for a young man to build that boat and have it come out so nice, that was really cool. Another shot of him. We're just going into the sunset here. This is on the Strait of San Juan de Fuca. And, I mean, just what a beautiful night that was. It did get bumpy out there, though. I mean, it was rolling pretty good. We got a bit of wind. You know, we weren't optimal on the current because we had to wait for Damien to get off work to go. So it got a little bit technical out there. And, okay, let me get into the next bit of the folders here. Okay, so we'll go... Add files. And then the last of the ones from crossing the strait here, I'd got some much better ones. So you could see as the sun was starting to go down on us out there. I mean, it was just gorgeous. I just amazing. And like the feeling after having been working on the boat for so long and getting it back on the water and then spending all that time working on it. I mean, it was just pushing that, you felt like Sisyphus pushing the rock up the hill, just a little bit at a time. And finally, like breaking free, getting to cross the strait. I mean, it was just such an amazing feeling. And when we wound up here, man, I just, I cannot begin to describe how good that was. And then the sun started going down, and we got this amazing red sunset, and it just turned into this keyhole sunset. This was just as we were leaving Port Townsend. This photo is a little bit earlier in the day, just coming around the corner. This is Point Hudson there. And this used to be a Coast Guard combination Army base. And so way back in the day when the original port was there, this is where the Coast Guard worked out of. And of course, the Navy would, come in and visit too, but the Navy was more so out doing Navy things, not really hanging out around a base. And Pete said, beautiful sunset, Pete, thank you very much. And that sunset turned into just this keyhole sunset out there. And oh man, I mean, what a ride that was. And like, the crazy thing with it was, like, when we got out there and we were going, we got across the strait, and then on the other side, going up through Cattle Pass, it got real bumpy, and I damn near hit a whale that night. I mean, it came up right next to me. I couldn't even see it, as a black of night, but I could hear it breach, and I could smell its breath, and oh my God, nasty, nasty, nasty smell. And I called Damien, and of course, Damien, he is a redneck from Colorado, and so he's got like the God lights on his boat. So I call him on the radio, let him know there's a whale, and the next thing I know, it's like instant daylight behind me there. He turns all these metal halides he's got on the boat on, high-pressure sodiums, and he just lit everything right up. It was kind of funny. And so I believe that is the end of... Oh, no, there it is. Here we go. Now, here's Damien's boat. And you can see the big light he's got up on the top there, and he's got the other one up on the mast, and those things are crazy bright. And since this photo was taken, he's also added stabilizing poles to this thing. I mean, it's turned into a really cool boat. It's got a little Perkins four-banger diesel in it, and he calls it Lacey the Seagoing Tractor. It's really cool. And actually on Instagram, you can find him out there on Instagram as Lacey the Seagoing Tractor. He's got a whole bunch of photos of it up there, which is pretty cool. And so... And then there he is, a little bit better shot going off into the sunset. And it just what an amazing night that was. And that big old keyhole sunset. So now let me get the next photos in here. So we'll go down, we'll say Control A, delete those. And then now we can get into, and then he did get a few photos of me, and then we got one together as we were getting up into BC. I will add those in here, and then I'm just going to add some more from BC there. Yeah, there we go. It's going to take me just a minute to get these because I've got them in separate folders, and I can't just go in and add the whole directory for whatever reason. It wants me to go in and add just each damn one individually. And so it'll take just a sec to get these up. So I thank you all for being patient with me here. All right, we'll run with this first batch so nobody gets too bored while they're waiting on me to get through this. But this is my boat and Damien's boat up in Genoa Bay, which if you guys watch Travels with Jordy, which if you don't watch Travels with Jordy, like Peter's great. I love his videos. He's restoring an old Ed Monk motor cruiser. Really cool guy. Definitely a channel that's worth checking out. I mean, it is a power boat, but he does a lot of woodworking stuff on there that if you're into boats, the woodworking stuff is very well worth the while. So I definitely recommend checking that out. But getting up to Genoa Bay with him was just totally cool. And he got this photo of me underway here, dragging that damn dinghy. We dragged that dinghy the whole way to Alaska and back. It was just too big to fit on deck, and it was a pain. But there I am, the captain at the helm, getting it done. And what a great feeling that was. But oh my God, is the gel coat on this boat getting terrible. I really need to get it painted, but doing all the internals, all the stuff that'll keep it from sinking, that was kind of a priority, if you know what I mean. And then this right here, this photo right here, this is what boat life is all about. This is a panorama of downtown Vancouver, BC. And just we were getting these amazing sunsets in there. I happened to capture this one that night. I'm standing on my boat, anchored in False Creek. You can anchor in False Creek for 2 weeks for nothing. And so this was my view for the 2 weeks that we were there, and it was just nothing short of amazing. Like, I'd really love to go up and explore this some again. I mean, it was just a phenomenal time. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was just a wonderful experience, and I really like Vancouver. It's a beautiful city. I really want to go up there and explore more because one of the TV shows I used to watch as a teenager was that Highlander, and they filmed a lot of that up there too. And I know where a lot of the filming locations are. I want to go see a bunch of that stuff, and I thought that might make for some really cool videos, just to like go up and find some of those filming locations and everything, because a lot of them were around the water. So Captain Davin says, I'm thinking about different ways of making money while hopefully full-time. Now, how I can captain my own charters once I secure my 6-pack license. What I will tell you, I'm going to pop back over since we're talking boats here, so you can see my face and everything. What I will tell you, because I've researched this really heavily too. Like, I'm working on my captain's license right now, believe me. The thing that I have realized is that the easiest way to go broke in the boating business, trying to make money from charters, is to start with $1 million. Actually, the easiest way to become a millionaire is to start with 2, is I guess the joke. You start with 2 million, before you know it, you'll be a millionaire, because a lot of people get into it, and I have watched people have that dream over and over and over again, and I have watched it crash and burn over and over again. There are so many boats that are for sale right now that are set up as charter boats, and I mean, I don't want to poo-poo your dreams, but it's something that I looked into, like, hey, can I make money this way? Can I do things this way? What could I provide this way? And it is so hard to get customers that have the money to come out there, because a lot of the people that do have the money, they're just going to generally go and get on a cruise ship. They're going to get on something larger. They're going to get on something that's a little bit more catered, because on a smaller boat, anything that you're going to afford, and the reason this market is dying is, they're going to want to have someone cook for them. They're not going to want to clean the cabins themselves. So you're going to be very limited, because you're going to need a crew of people to take care of these guests, because essentially you're running a floating motel. And so since you're running a floating motel, the money isn't there, because you just can't have enough people on board to keep the boat clean, to keep everything up. And so you're just going to wind up cleaning up after people all the time and babysitting the whole time. And I really would strongly recommend against it. I mean, you got to find something else to make that money, whatever it's going to be. Believe me, I've been through it. I've been out here sailing. I've been doing it 8 years now. And 8 years of sailing, it gets hard sometimes trying to get that money come in. I've gone back. I've driven truck a couple of times. I've gone out and done kind of whatever I can do to make money, which, I mean, I'm a disabled veteran, which helps with the retirement, but it certainly is not going to completely fund the boat. So I've had to do other things, because I haven't been fortunate enough to build up the audience on this where I could just go for it. So those are my 2 cents there. Hope I'm not poo-pooing your dreams too much, but I feel like I should give you an honest answer rather than be like, oh yeah, man, you go for it. That's so good. That's the challenge you're going to face. And so if you want to do boating charters, right now with the economy being as bad as it is, you can buy a boat cheap. You can buy a big charter boat cheap, but the problem is no one has the money to run one. So that's kind of where you're left out right now. There's several of the big boats that we're out doing for charters, and all of them are up for sale right now. Okay, back to the Alaska slideshow. Oh yeah, we restarted the deck, didn't we? Let me get back to where we were. We were at, the Vancouver sunset. And so we left Vancouver, and this was coming up to Campbell River right here. And this sunset over the mountains in BC there. This is looking onto the mainland BC. That was just phenomenal. I really just, one of those first nights kind of getting up away from civilization where we were really out there. The first night anchored at Lesquiti Island, leaving Vancouver. And then this was the second night coming up to Campbell River. So you've gone a good long ways. This is like 110 or so nautical miles north of Vancouver. So you're a ways up there. It's quite the little trip, and quite beautiful. I mean, these are a couple of panoramas I shot with. I think my cell phone was on these. It might have been my bigger camera. I think it was my cell phone though. But yeah, and then there's this one. Like, God, just look at that yellow in there and all that color. It just phenomenal. And then coming up to Campbell River again. This is looking right up through Campbell River, and just up the other side of it there, that's the Seymour Narrows, and that is one of the most dangerous waterways in the world, because from right at the mouth of the Campbell River there, you have a tidal river that runs through that twice a day on the tides. And if you don't catch it right, it'll run 5-6 knots right in front of Campbell River right there. When you get up into the Seymour Narrows, it can run 16 to 17 knots. So if you're on a 5-knot, 6-knot boat, that could be really bad. I found that out the hard way because the time zone had changed when I was going in there. So I thought I was an hour off, and I get up there and I'm running through it, and I'm like, well, man, why the hell are we struggling so hard? And I was like, oh crap, the time zone's off. I realized the mistake I'd made, and we got caught by that current stream just going into Campbell River. And so it took like an hour to go the last nautical mile because we were fighting 4 knots of current. And it was like, oh, shit. And then Captain David says, thank you. Not really looking to do it, but it was a thought. I'd love to sail the East Coast waters with my family of 6. I mean, yeah, man, sailing with the family, like the memories you're going to make with the family going out sailing, amazing. That's the reason to do it right there. Even if you've got to sail a bit, come back and work a bit, sail a bit, come back and work a bit, that's fine. But, spending the time with the family, making those memories, that's all the reason there, to get the less expensive boat and to just go do it. And so, all right, continuing on. And then this here, I had just arrived at a place. This is Port Neville. And Port Neville, this is just coming up in there, looking over the bow. And Port Neville, when we rounded the corner, we got into this place. This is where I anchored in there the first night, just looking up at these mountains. And it's a place that I have read about since I was a kid, because I've been dreaming about making this Alaska trip my whole life. And Port Neville is this little stop. You can see the dock over on the left-hand side of the photo here. You can see the docks that are there. And that dock is free to use. I mean, there's no power, no water or anything on it, so you're not going to stay more than a couple of days. But the old cabins there, that was also the post office and general store that operated all the way up until like the 1960s. And the original family that settled that land has owned it the entire time. And so it's kind of a cool thing. And they still actually come out there at times. People, I guess, have gotten to meet them there, and it's pretty cool. And they still maintain it. And so here's a boat sitting at the dock there, and we got to go up there and walk around a little bit. And I didn't go deep into the property there. I just kind of went up to where they've got the little signs and everything. But I didn't want to go strolling around through their property because it's just rude to go on someone's land like that. So, I kept it respectful, but it was just such an amazing thing to see. And I just looking at these photos, like right now, like I'm just cracking such a smile, like remembering how good it felt to be up there, because it was pretty phenomenal. And then we're back to the beginning of this. So let me go load more photos here. And fine. I'll throw these up there because it's interesting. It's not photos I took, but I'll show it to you guys in a minute. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, here we go. This is going to be a bit of a bigger batch here, so let's roll with this here. But this is just leaving Port Neville, south of Port McNeill. And looking back, I mean, you can still kind of see the cut going into Port Neville in this photo here. And that day we left, it was just so damn beautiful. I mean, just a perfect day. I mean, it was a bit bumpy in the beginning when we were coming out. Wind was blowing a bit, current was still kind of coming in. It was a long day because the current that we were expecting going back out didn't materialize because they'd gotten so much rain. It just kept the current going the other direction. So that was kind of wild. And then as we're getting a little bit closer to sunset, that sunset was phenomenal. And I can't remember the name of the little bay we pulled into there, but that bay was just amazing. Okay, so we get up here to Port McNeill. You can see where the little dot is there, and you can see, I mean, lots of wind the whole time through. It was just blowing and blowing and blowing, and so we were looking for the weather window to get through there, and like we were kind of stuck there just waiting the whole time. We managed to not hop from Port McNeill to Port Hardy, and then we were waiting and waiting and waiting, and then finally we shot off and made it through, and up to this little spot here. This is Faulkner Bay. And this is where it really started to get wild here at Faulkner Bay, because you're now up into the depths of the Inside Passage here. And when you get kind of up into this country, you're really deep into it there. And so, hey, Max Racing Team's here. Hey, haven't seen you in a while, man. Glad you're here. And so then going into this Faulkner Bay, though, just coming in there that night, we saw an eagle in there fishing, or excuse me, I think it was a hawk. But it was in there, it snatched a fish out of the water while I was sitting there eating dinner. You had some otters and everything in there running around. I mean, it was just beautiful. And then this is the next morning as we were leaving. And it was just flat, glassy, overcast. But it was just gorgeous. And that little spot in there, I mean, you could only anchor 2 boats in that little bay. And that was it. But it was just so beautiful. And coming out of there, just a place I'll definitely have to go back again someday. Yeah, assuming Canada's a free country still, that's the thing. Captain David says, family calls, gotta go. Peace, blessings, and positive vibes sent to you and others. Hey, you stay safe out there. We'll see you again. Have a good one. And Kirk said, unfortunately, all my family photos are in notebooks in the Corpus Christi house. I hear you there. I've got hard drives full of stuff sitting back at home I don't have access to right now. Okay, now this here, oh my God, this was coming up south of Klemtu. And we were just kind of coming in. This is almost where we anchored for the night. And, it was just gorgeous. I mean, seeing the clouds and everything drape in there, looking back on this now, it's hard for me to talk. I'm smiling so hard just looking back at this. It was just such a wonderful experience, even though it was motoring the whole way. We got to do very little sailing on this trip. And this is the rock we actually went out with. This was actually one of the days that we got to sail, now that I think about it. And I really enjoyed it. Scared poor Abby to death because we're out there in 6-foot swells and I'm standing up on the foredeck dealing with sails and everything. And she's like, oh my God. Which actually, that's right. Most of you guys who are on the channel don't know Abby yet because she hasn't been in any of my videos. So there'll be a surprise coming there. And then, this is coming up, just pulling up into, this is going through Bella Bella here because we passed the Disney cruise ship. And we've got a ritual on the boat. Every time we see a cruise ship, we yell at them, you poor bastards, because they're having scheduled fun. Okay, that's kind of the same pictures over. Oh, yep. Where's the rest of Klemtu? I guess it doesn't want to... Okay, well, we'll go load more then. Okay, add files. Okay, then we get into the spot that was just amazing. You guys are going to love these. This... I try and get the rest of these popped up here. Okay, here we go. And the next one, this is the boat sitting in Bishop Bay. Now, Bishop Bay was absolutely amazing. Bishop Bay is kind of this off the beaten path spot. You go in there, it's got a couple. It's a real pain to anchor. I don't know if you can notice in this photo, but you can see my anchor chain's pulled out the front, and then I've got a line from the back. Oh, that's the bilge pump going off. Give me just a second. That whining will stop. I'm going to shut off the audio till it quits. All right, yeah, got a warning horn on the bilge pump. It's good to have. It runs for a few seconds every day. Like I was saying, though, you've got a line off the back of the boat there because in front of the boat, it is about 250 feet deep there. And then behind the boat, it goes right up straight to the shore. So it's a very steep edge there. So the only way to go in there is to drop your anchor and then stern tie. And then you take your dinghy over to the little dinghy dock there, and they have these hot tubs. And I don't know, I think in the pictures coming back, I think I'll have photos of the hot tubs there. But on the going up, I don't. But you have these other 3 boats that were tied up next to us there. This turned out to be a Mother Goose cruise where we bumped into these boats again a couple of times, and really love those Grand Banks. I mean, if I was going to stay up in this country, that's probably what I'd have. They had a bunch of them up there, and they're just such a handsome boat. I mean, I love the design. I love the classic styling of it. Wouldn't buy one of the wooden ones, but I'd absolutely get one of the fiberglass ones. And then here is the panorama I took up there, which I'm sure you guys can barely see it on the screen, so I'm not going to take a lot of time on that. But then leaving there, this was just coming out of Hartley Bay. So that night, we had a hell of a night. We left Bishop Bay. We went over to Otter Cove and just popped into Otter Cove. You know, we're going to spend the night, get up in the morning, and the anchor won't come up. Anchor won't come up. And I'm doing everything I can, tugging back and forth on it. And, you know, it's down in like 40 feet of water. And I'm like, crap, there is nothing we can do. And so finally, I just had to bite the bullet, pull out the angle grinder, and cut the anchor free. And, oh, that hurt. And so that started a really long day. We motored like 16 hours. We motored from like 9 o'clock in the morning till just after midnight. We got up there to Prince Rupert. And so that was a really long day. But I took this photo on that day, and that was early that morning. And, God, it was beautiful. And we got into Prince Rupert, and, of course, the Mother Goose cruise was there again. And, you know, these boats were just beautiful. Like, I really love those Grand Banks. And this is Cow Bay Marina there. Wasn't a bad spot. Going in again, I wouldn't want to stay on the outside of the wall, though, because you do get waked pretty bad there. But other than that, it was great. Got some pizza when we got in, you know, just little tiny town. You got a cruise ship dock there, so it's one of those, like, the cruise ship pulls up, you know, the population of the town triples, and then they leave, and it goes back to next to nothing. But great little place to pull in, you know, all the little shops up there and everything, and you can see how tiny my boat looks to those, compared to those Grand Banks, even though it is just as long as they are. Well, some of them are 42, some of them are 46. My boat's a 42 long, so kind of gives you an idea. But that boat sure did good for me on this trip. And God, isn't that a handsome looking boat right there, though? I mean, wouldn't you guys just love to have something like that for just going and cruising around up there in the Northwest Passage? I'd really like to have that someday if I was gonna do more Northwest Passage, because they're a little bit more apt for it. You know, motoring on a sailboat isn't fun. It's, you know, a lot more fun to sail a sailboat, but it's a lot harder to sail up there. And then so this photo here. This was just as we were leaving. And oh my God, was it beautiful. We'd motored out. This is a little spot called Douglas Bay, and we'd stayed there because we knew the next day we were possibly going to run all the way to Ketchikan. And so got up that morning, and this was the sunrise that greeted us. And I mean, just look at that, you know, and like, that was one of those like key moments on the trip. It was very emotional for me because I had waited my whole life to go to Alaska. I had grown up, talked with my grandpa so much about it. I mean, it was one of the things we discussed over and over again. And then the guy that I bought the boat from, Bud, you know, I promised him that I'd sail the boat to Alaska someday right before he died. And because that was one of the things that he didn't get to do. And so after he, you know, I'll tell this story in a minute. So you guys know Bud's the guy I bought the boat from. So let's go in now. And I need to delete the photos that are in here to add more. Give me just a second. Okay. And now we'll be into Alaska photos. Yeah. Okay, so Yeah, Kirk, I would tell Abby howdy right now. She is overworking, though. She's working at a place over here doing some things. I'm not going to say where she's working because people might find out if they look things up, and I don't want to make it weird. But she's over at work right now, got herself a little job, so that's real good for her, and it'll certainly help with getting the boat done sooner. Okay, back into Ketchikan. And there we go. I want pretty much all those. And I think that'll be a good start to it here. Okay, so Ketchikan, Alaska. Amazing, amazing spot. Like, it was everything that I had hoped for and then some. Like, I almost stayed there. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, I was seriously like, I could get a P.O. box here and spend some time here, finish working on the boat here. And I got to looking at it, and just to get the rest of the stuff I needed shipped up, it was just going to be so expensive. It wouldn't have been worth it. But, man, I really wanted to. What was really surprising is that some things up there are actually cheaper than they were in Washington, namely diesel fuel and moorage. That was kind of a big deal. And even some food items, like certain meat items, were cheaper up there, which really surprised me. Okay, so Bud, if you look over the tree line here, this is a little island in the channel between the airport and Ketchikan. Ketchikan's off in the distance there. And you've got this old number plate of the boat here. This is the number plate from when Bud owned the boat. I never had this under my name for the registration. It was always under Bud under that number. And that little pocket knife there is Bud's pocket knife that he carried for years and years and years. And my friend Bud was a World War II veteran, flew in B-17s, came back to the United States, worked his whole life, had a bunch of boats, and he bought this boat when he was, I think, 88 or 89 years old, with the intention of sailing it to Alaska. I mean, that's the type of guy this guy was. He was just a gritty, old, lovable curmudgeon, just a great guy. And he just got to realizing that he was too old to sail it to Alaska. And so that was kind of the one thing that he never got to do. And so I got to sail it up. And so that pocket knife there is the pocket knife that Bud carried for, 15, 20 years of his, the last 15, 20 years of his life. It's the one he had with him when he died. And so when I sailed to Alaska, I brought it with me. And so that felt really good to get to do that. Pete Smith said, how long did it take you to get to Alaska from Port Townsend? It actually took a good bit of time. We took about a month and a half to get up there, but we stopped a lot of places. Like, I didn't make a hurry out of it. We stopped, we explored. I did a few boat projects on the way, especially Campbell River. We got into Campbell River, and the chandlery in there was way cheaper than down here. So I was like, okay, this stuff's like 70% of the cost it is in Port Townsend. We're doing projects. And so I got a whole lot of projects knocked out. I think we were in Campbell River for damn near a month. So, it was only probably actual transit time, like 3 weeks going up there. But there was a lot of, stops in between. And so, let me go back. This here is Creek Street in Ketchikan. And this was the first, panoramic first photo I took right when we got there. This is the red light district. And so we'll get to that in a minute. This photo I'm actually going to come back to. But this is where we stayed in the marina there. Got the boat set up. We were just fat, dumb, and happy. And what was really cool is if you look over at the right side over here, you can see this little box. That's actually on the other dock on the other side. That is where the race to Alaska came in. And so we were sitting right there to watch the end of the race to Alaska. And so that was really cool watching that happen. Kirk said the son of my college roommate is a school resource officer in Ketchikan. Well, I wish I'd known. We'd have said hi to him. Pete said, nice thought to bring it up, the old registration and his knife. He wasn't able to make the trip himself. It was. I wish that he'd have lived long enough. I wish that I could have done this while he was still alive, just to be able to, send photos back and send him the stories. But, it was a good second best. I'll take it. I'm not going to complain about it. I wish that he could have seen it, but, unfortunately, that is what it is. And, he'll always live on in my memory, because he and I became great friends, because after I bought the boat, he was living on another boat down there. He bought a big bayliner that had a gate on the transom where you could just step aboard. He lived on that a couple of more years. And so, the man had an amazing life. I mean, I don't feel too bad for him. And so this is just some of the views. These are some of the old, 1880s buildings that are still existing right there in Ketchikan. The Captain's Lady. Yes, now we're into Creek Street. And this is from one of the photo walks I took up there. I took several photo walks while I was there. I got really into doing photography again. Another great photo of the Ketchikan sign. Oh, it only wants to let me have 8 photos. Well, that sucks. Let me, we're going to go fix that right now. That's unsat. So we'll go back in, because there are way more photos than that. I don't know about this OBS. Like, I was trying it. I was hoping it was going to work out real well, and I'm not totally pleased. So we were at the Captain's Lady. Okay, so here we go. And then this was walking through that red light district there on Creek Street, which is just a bunch of stores now. But just these old buildings overhanging that creek. It is just so freaking beautiful. I enjoyed that so much. I mean, just such a wonderful place to sit and walk and explore. And the weather was beautiful the whole time. We barely got any rain. I mean, I think I only got rained on once while we were there, which is unusual for Ketchikan, because Ketchikan is one of the wettest cities in the world. And, you know, everywhere you go, there's these native style carvings, carved wood signs. Of course, it's a tourist trap because it's right by the cruise ship docks. So, like, you'll have 3 or 4 cruise ships. Like, they can fit 3 cruise ships on the pier, but sometimes you'll have 1 or 2 more out at anchor bringing people ashore in boats. It's nuts when they come in. And so when the cruise ships were in, I'd just stay on the boat, and then I'd go into town and explore while they were gone. Although the thing is, while they're gone, some of the places just aren't open, so you got to be aware of that. But I mean, all the little carvings. I mean, of course, all the time, the girlfriend's like, "Oh my God, they're so cute." She really enjoyed this, and then a lot of artwork around too. It's just a very neat place. It's very, very cool just to go stroll around the town. And they had more places where you could go out and sit and watch and look and really just enjoy it. And then this is a bigger panorama I did of that entire spot in there, so you can get kind of an idea of it. And again, more of it in there. Just I mean, yeah, it's getting so emotional looking back at it. Like, I think I enjoyed this trip probably more than anything I've done in my life. Okay, so we're back to the end of that group of photos, so I'm going to go load up another set, because we've actually still got more of Ketchikan. A little bit, anyways. It kind of sucks that it'll only let me do 8 photos, though. I'm a bit disappointed about that. So this here, I'm going to be adding more, but this is the sunset as I was leaving Ketchikan. Last night, we went out there and anchored. We were getting ready to go that day. And it was phenomenal. Oh yeah, these ones are going to be great too. So I can add up to 4 more here. Now that I know this, I would have had a better plan before we got into the thing here. I'd have broke this up into sections, so the next time I do a stream, I know to do that. And then we'll just grab a few of these. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, that first sunset, absolutely, or that, yeah, well, actually, there's the last sunset in Ketchikan, but just sitting out there that night, anchored out. Like, this here is probably one of the best parts of boat life, because you're just sitting out there, anchored out, absolutely just enjoying it. It was amazing. And Caleb says, one of my dream trips was to Alaska. It's such a beautiful place. You're right, man. Just endless. And so, like, I'm going to hit you guys with this. This is a screen grab from a chart, and you can see the rings. The boat was in the center of this. I wound up anchoring out here a couple of days after we left Ketchikan. I think it took us 3-4 days to get up here. But there's just this big mud flat out here, and I anchored right in the middle of it. And there's just nothing around for a long way, a couple of miles in a couple of directions. And then up here onto this island, it was just kind of completely, covered, and it sheltered you from all the wind and waves and everything that were coming in. So it was just an amazing spot to anchor. If the wind was coming out of the north or the east, you wouldn't want to have been there. But where we were, it was perfect. And the sunsets there coming over Kupreanof Island, look at that. And it was like every night. I was only going to stay the night there, and we wound up staying like 3 or 4 days, just hanging out and like enjoying this and eating dinner up in the cockpit, and just stare. We just kept going up to stare at the sunsets and really love it. And the days were getting really long at this point too. I think that this photo was taken, I'm wanting to say around midnight or 12:30. It was pretty late. Actually, so late it was getting early. And then looking off the other direction from there, that's the Wrangell Mountains. And just watching the sun come down over those mountains every night, it was absolutely phenomenal. And then we shot on up the Wrangell Narrows, and this is the mouth going in. And, you know, you got like little villages coming through and everything. This is the town of Petersburg here at the other end of the Narrows. And so we had to stop into Petersburg, and I don't have it shown here, but when we pulled our anchor, I bought a brand new anchor in Prince Rupert, and then that brand new anchor, while we're out there, got caught on someone's abandoned fishing pot, so I had to pull that up, so I brought the fishing pot in and threw it in the dumpster here at the port. So that's what we were doing in there. And so that's why the dock's all wet there, because I had to hose all the crap down that came off that thing. Oh, that was a mess. But still had a really good time. And then when we were leaving Petersburg, first glacier we got to see up there. And that was Sum Dum Glacier. So freaking beautiful. Just cruising by, seeing that. And yeah. So let me get some more pictures in here. And while I'm looking for more pictures, does anybody have any questions? While I'm getting this loaded up. Do 5 more. Okay, here we go. And so this was coming into a little spot called Taku, which is just south of Juneau. And we were coming in there, and it started to get kind of nasty weather-wise on us there. There's a lot of wind, a lot of rain, so we just popped into Taku that night, and then the next day shot out and cruised on up to Juneau. And this was that next morning, and it was like, yeah, we want to get out of here. We don't want to be hanging out for this. And then we went and anchored up in there for a couple of nights, just, you know, resting up, because we pushed pretty hard to get up there because we knew we needed to make enough time getting north. And unfortunately, my friends that were supposed to meet me there had gotten a car accident, so we like pushed so hard to get there, and then like they didn't even wind up coming because she got hurt real bad and got a broken collarbone, and then started having some other issues, and they had to call the whole thing off, which is really unfortunate, but it is what it is. And so, but yeah, that's the city of Juneau. That's the city marina there. And that bridge, I had to be really careful at that bridge. I can only go under that bridge at low tide because my mast is about 6 feet taller than what the bottom of that bridge is at high tide. So that certainly had my attention and anxiety every time I had to go underneath it. It was, you know you've got the clearance because the depth gauge says you have the clearance, but you're still wondering, do you really have the clearance? And then I caught this guy, and I mean, you know, I wish I had a screeching bald eagle sound effect, you know, queued up for this, because that was, oh, you know, eagles were everywhere on this trip. We just saw so damn many of them. Endless amounts of eagles. I cannot even begin to describe how many they were up there. And it was so very cool for that. Like that was probably one of my favorite parts of the trip. Like, I love eagles. I love watching them hunt. I love watching them do what they do. They're a very cool bird. There's a reason they made him our national bird. And there he is again, cruising on by. Like, you know, I was just, you know, hanging out. There he is. This was actually off at a boat ramp up there, and so we got to take a tour out of a guy, Brian, who has My Alaska Dream YouTube channel. We went out to his homestead, or actually he might call it an Alaska homestead now. I can't remember for sure, but good guy. Was great meeting him, Army veteran. So, and we did a thing together, which I need to get that video done and out to him. That reminds me now. So, got some things to do there to get caught up with. Pete says that glacier is the same height as the mountains it was on, just an illusion because of the perspective. Actually, that glacier is really tall up there. It is a very tall glacier up in the mountains. If you go look it up on Google Earth, it's Sumdum Glacier, Sumdum. Must be a native name because I don't think somebody would have chosen to call it that. And then this was actually the day we were headed to Bryan's. We were just leaving Juneau, and just happened to snap this picture on the way out. Didn't get a whole lot of downtown there. I wish I'd have taken more photos of downtown, but I was pretty tired at that point. I did get some of the otters, though, and one of these things damn near smacked into us when he was coming into land. We both had an oh shit moment, and luckily we both turned the opposite direction and separated rather than converging. And then the other one, they had 3 of these things running up there. They were really cool to see. Okay, more photos right quick. And okay, and this here is headed back south. I believe that's a sunset over Admiralty Island. I can't remember for sure on that. And then coming over here, that's that same glacier again, anchored out there again. I mean, just what a sight that was. And this is back in Ketchikan. And wound up walking around in there, taking a bunch of pictures that night with my camera phone. It's just kind of like, I was leaving Alaska, and it was a total grieving process. It was just like, man, I have to leave this beautiful place. I've got to go back south because my insurance company put a deadline on me. I had to be back south of the northern tip of Vancouver Island by the 30th of August. And so we were racing to meet that. We were racing to pick people up, that were going to go sailing with us. So we were just like, man, we've got to go. It's got to happen. And it was, And then I thought this was kind of funny, the name of this boat, the Codfather. Someone had a good sense of humor. It was a nice boat, too. Getting out there for that last sunset in Ketchikan, and it was just so surreal. And if you look down there, you could see my boat parked in there in that marina and just looking up at the sky and everything. And what a beautiful night that was. And just, it really tugs at my heartstrings thinking about it. I mean, I had just such a wonderful time on this trip. And the Union Machine Shop there. And that was just such a gorgeous thing. That's actually what our view was, sitting on the boat down there. That's why I took this photo, because just sitting in the cockpit of the boat, that's what we were looking at. And just what a place to be, like just being able to sit down and enjoy that at night. And so that's pretty much it for the slideshow, guys. I think I might have taken a couple more going south there, but that's for the most part, what it is. Looks like the wind's backing off up here a little bit tonight, too. I don't know how long I've been streaming. Is there a counter on this that'll tell me how long? Oh, 1 hour and 5 minutes. There we go. It tells me how long we've been streaming for and everything else, but going to wind up wrapping it up for the night here. I've got a few things to troubleshoot, figure out why it is that it won't load certain windows, everything else, and then hopefully that will let me get this thing kind of back to working. But for all you guys that popped in here tonight, thank you very much for coming. Thank you for helping me test this out. Really enjoyed kind of getting to share that to you and giving you the little photo show there. Monday, I'm going to be diving back in. Just so you know, for those of you who might have been joining late, I have been doing sailing videos for a long time. For a while here, I'm probably going to dive in and start doing some political videos. I don't know if I'm going to upload directly to the Renegade ADV channel or if I'm going to go ahead and upload them to a second channel or not yet. But, essentially through the election, that's what I'm going to be focusing on, simply because, the the world's getting to be such a messed up place right now. I've got a lot of things to say about it. I've got a lot of knowledge, and I'm hoping that I can help provide some answers. So we'll see what happens there. So thank you guys for being here tonight. We'll catch you later.